Hey everybody, it's Tyler with Tyler Talks Travel Trailers. Today we are not in a trailer. I'm at home. I decided to relax at home for the day. I've been going in every day for a while now doing these videos, so that gave me a good opportunity to kind of stay home and give you something a little different. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be giving you 5 tips that I think are important for a first-time buyer of an RV or travel trailer. They're not in any specific order, so I'm just they're the first ones I thought of when I decided to do this video. I plan to do a lot more of these videos, I'm gonna go into like solar, batteries, tank heaters, all kinds of different areas of buying a trailer. So I'm just gonna test the waters and do this one. So I'm gonna do 5 tips. The first one's kind of crazy. It actually sounds stupid for me to say it, considering I'm a sales guy and that's how I make my living. But the first tip I think I would give a first-time buyer is to not buy one, just rent one or borrow one. You could rent one or borrow one. And the reason I think that is so important, because I'm not saying to not buy one, I'm just saying to kind of maybe figure out what you like and don't like. You're never gonna know what you like and don't like without using one first. And I feel like if you go and rent one or borrow one from a family member, even if it's a pop-up, just borrow someone's pop-up for the weekend and see how you feel about it, see what you might want on yours, or see there's just so many options and features to travel trailers and motorhomes and all these things. You're not going to really know what you like or don't like until you actually use one. And I feel like you need a trial period, a 7-day trial period. You get that with everything else. I mean, it is kind of a big purchase, but I feel that exactly, it is a big purchase. So I feel like maybe giving yourself a little trial period, maybe go rent one and see what you think. What I think is good is you're able to see how it feels. Like if you're planning on going full time in one of these things and you and your significant other want to hit the road for, 6 months, you kind of want to know if you can handle each other in such a small space. It doesn't seem small when you're out looking at them, but when you're on the road for 6 months with your significant other, you kind of got to love each other. So I feel like renting or borrowing one would be good just to kind of get your feet wet. You also get to figure out what kind of features you want. If you're not really into cooking inside because it stinks up the trailer, you can get an outdoor kitchen. So you can get an outdoor kitchen on your next one. If you go to set up camp and you don't like that you have to level it, well then put auto level on your list of things that you would like. Or if you go winter camping and you borrow one and you didn't realize that it's not extended season or 4 season and the tanks freeze, which would be terrible if you were borrowing one, then you'll know to put it on your list that you want a camper or motorhome that can handle cold weather. That's my first tip that I would give the first-time RV buyer. The second tip I would give to a first-time buyer is know what your tow vehicle can handle. This is probably the most important thing. It sounds stupid. Most of you will probably know, but I get a lot of customers that come into the dealership and there's a lot to what the vehicle can tow other than just the year, make, and model. There's gear ratios and things like that. So I feel like you doing a little extra research on your tow vehicle before you come in, it'll help you kind of narrow in on what you're looking at. What I tell people is you can give the VIN number to the dealership that sells your vehicle, and they should be able to give you like a really accurate weight that you can tow. I also advise that you do not tow at your max tow rating. What I tell customers is you kind of want to be at least 1,000 pounds under when you're fully loaded. So I'll go into that, how to know when you're fully loaded. So if I was out going and buying a travel trailer, I would base off my purchase on the dry weight. And dry weight is when the trailer is completely empty. So there's nothing in it. And then you have cargo carrying capacity. So let's say you have a trailer that's 2,500 pounds and you could put 1,000 pounds of cargo in it. That would make your GVWR 3,500 pounds. So that's you got to go off those 3 things. Once you're fully loaded, I think me personally, I'd want to be at 1,000 pounds under my max tow rating is, just because if you're going up a mountain or you're going over a pass, you don't want to be maxed out, just like struggling to get up the mountain. It's also very bad for your transmission. So these vehicles nowadays are super expensive, and the last thing you want to do is have to replace all of these components in your vehicle because you towed way more than you can handle. So if your tow rating is 6,000 or 7,000, so that'd be like a Toyota Tacoma. I would say at max, what I would feel comfortable with would maybe be like 4,500 to 5,000. That would be perfect. But you want that loaded. You don't want it to be dry weight 6,000 and you could tow 7, because once you load that thing up with water and all your gear, and then you got to think about the people that are in the vehicle, all of that weight factors into what your tow rating is. So really think about that. Your cargo carrying capacity. So when you're out looking at travel trailers, I want you to know that the cargo carrying capacity is when all 3 tanks are full. So that's your gray tank, your freshwater tank, and your black tank. Let me tell you why that's a little confusing, because you can't have a freshwater and a gray water filled. So right off the bat, that cargo carrying capacity is a little skewed, so you'll never hit that max number. So basically you could add more cargo in there because they're factoring in that you have the gray and the freshwater tank filled, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do unless you were like camping and then you filled up your gray tank and then refilled your freshwater tank and then decided to tow it home. So that wouldn't make any sense. So remember, your dry weight is, it's all preference. I personally would go off a dry weight and decide what trailer I want, and then kind of factor in the cargo carrying capacity. And then at that, then I would know I'm pretty good underneath my max tow rating. On average, people usually put around 800 pounds of cargo. So you should have plenty of room. Like if a travel trailer says that it'll hold 1,500 pounds of cargo, that's insane. That's a lot of weight. Like you would basically be full-time camping or bringing your entire weight set in there to work out with. So yeah, I think number 2 is very important. Understanding the weights and what you're capable of towing. And it is really about what you're comfortable with as well. Like I get customers that are like, they'll have F-150 and they're like, I only want 4,000 pounds. Like I only want to tow 4,000 pounds. The worst thing I can do as a sales guy is like try to convince the guy that he can tow more than that, even though I know he can tow more than that. So if you want to be at a certain weight, don't let the salesperson try to bump you up with a heavier trailer, because it'll be bigger. Go off of what you feel comfortable with. So going into tip number 3, I think that sometimes buying used might be better for you. And in a lot of instances it is, and sometimes it's not. So one reason I think that it's good to buy used in the beginning, because it's another instance where you don't know what you like, you don't know what you don't like, and there's a lot of ways that you can add those things later into your trailer. Instead of going and buying the craziest trailer, spending 50 grand on a trailer, and you don't know what you like or don't like. You're paying for things that you might not even want. So I think buying used is beneficial because you'll spend less and get more features and options, or you'll spend less and it's an easier way to get out of that trailer when you want to trade it in the future. And this sounds kind of crazy, but the average person buys 5 trailers in their lifetime. And no one wants to be average. So if this is your first one, you got 4 more to go. And let's face it, this is a depreciating asset. This is not an investment at all. If you ever hear a salesperson tell you that this is a good investment, run from there. This is an investment in your happiness and time with your family, yes, but this thing will depreciate. And I feel like if you buy your first trailer and you find out what you like and don't like, you can actually trade out of that a lot easier than if you had a new one. New ones, they'll depreciate the first year, and if you want to come back the following year and you did not put a down payment on that trailer, you are going to be upside down and you won't be able to trade out of it unless you put another large down payment. So I'm peppering in a lot of different tips in here. Like I would say definitely, if you can, put a down payment down, at least enough to cover your taxes. Who wants to pay interest on taxes? So at least put a down payment large enough to cover the taxes of the trailer. You got to think about how I just said, the average person buys 5 in their lifetime. So you may or may not, but from my experience, people do trade in. usually within 2 years. So if you put a good down payment, you won't be upside down. You'll be able to get out of it easier. Or if we're going on to my third step, just buy used. So a lot of great factors of buying used. There is some pros and cons to it, obviously. So when you buy a used trailer, they do not come with a warranty usually. They're not transferable. So some people want that peace of mind to have a warranty, a manufacturer warranty. So buying new, if you want a warranty, that might be the way you need to go. You can always add an extended warranty to a used travel trailer or motorhome as long as it's not super old. You can add that extended warranty. Usually dealerships will offer that to you, so don't worry about that. One thing I don't think that is good about buying used is, people lie. Let's face it, not everyone is honest. And when someone's trading in a trailer, usually it's because something is wrong with it. They're trying to ditch that issue that they need to fix on it. So not always, but sometimes that is the issue, and you really got to think about what you're inheriting. You don't want to be inheriting a turd. So, but if you can, I would say try to find a nice used, gently used, newer trailer. Like right now, let me give you an example. So we actually have two E-Pros. They're 2022 E-Pros, and I think they're going for like $24,900. I might be off on these numbers, but I think they're $24,900 for the used ones, and then we have new ones in the 30s. So you can save a lot of money by getting a used one, but you're still getting all the benefits of a high quality trailer. If you know my channel, Flagstaff is my favorite brand. It's the best quality trailer. So that would be an instance, like if someone comes into the dealership while we have these two E-Pros, I really am going to try to give insight to the customer that I have to maybe just buy used, if they feel comfortable with that, because they're going to save tons of money. And they also will have all the features of a really high quality trailer. The only thing is you might lose a few features on the 25 that's coming, like you can talk to it and it'll have voice command, or it'll have the beads in the tires. So you're not going to lose a ton of features going from a 22 to a 25. I would very gladly advise you to just get a used one in that instance. All right, going into my tip number 4. This is probably one of my most important tips to people when they come into the dealership. Buy a trailer that's going to work 80% of the time and not 20% of the time. So what that means is I get a lot of customers that will come in and they have grandkids or they have kids, and they're really focused on accommodating them, which is nice. They're amazing for thinking that, but they're trying to accommodate people that might only come once in a while. And I can't tell you how many times I get a customer, they come in and they're older and have tons of grandkids, and they're like, I gotta get bunk beds, I gotta get a big bunk room. And then 2 years down the road or a year down the road, they realize that the grandkids are not coming as much as they thought, and now they have all of this wasted space that they're not using. And then guess what? They got to trade it in, and like I just discussed to you on the last tip, these things do depreciate. So I think it's very smart of you to maybe just focus on yourself and pick out a trailer that's, like I said, going to work 80% of the time, and then those 20% times when you do have the grandkids come, you can accommodate them in a different way versus bunks that are being wasted. So I show a ton of trailers that are couples coaches for 2, and you can convert the table into a bed, you can convert the couch into a bed. These are all great options if you want to accommodate someone occasionally. If I could give you the best advice, just go out there and, as selfish as it sounds, think about yourself and kind of pick out what you love first. Beggars can't be choosers. I promise they won't be mad if you put them on a comfortable couch that converts to a bed. And yeah, they're really comfortable too. So that is a huge tip that I would give to my first-time customers. I actually say this at least 2 times a week to customers because of how many times I've seen people buy something that will accommodate people more than actually work for what they're looking to use it for. All right, tip number 5. This one's kind of important too. Think about the type of camping that you are actually wanting to do. So this is very important when you're out looking at travel trailers, because they're going to have a lot of different options on them, and they're going to be different types of quality. So I'm like, if you're going to just be a weekend warrior and you're not looking to have every crazy feature possible, like tank heaters, thermal pane windows, all these things, why would you spend all that extra money buying the things that you're not going to use? So if you're a weekend warrior, maybe a pop-up is perfect for you. It'll fit the whole family and you're not spending 40 grand on a trailer. So that's a huge one. If you are a winter camper, I get this a lot. So I get a lot of hunters, and usually the hunting season starts when it starts to get a little cold outside. I'll mention to them, like, you do need to think about maybe getting tank heaters or enclosed underbelly. That way your tanks don't freeze or crack. Like, that is huge. And I kind of give them a little advice about how they can get around that. So one thing you could do is you can buy a camper that doesn't have tank heaters or a heated underbelly, and you could just bring your own water along, so you could save money that way. Or this is a great thing, you can just buy the trailer that doesn't have, the tank heaters or the enclosed underbelly, and just enclose it or put that on it later in the future. So really think about the type of camping you want to do. One big one, I would say, like, if you're someone that's wanting to go out and see all the national forests or the national parks, they have a limit to what you can actually tow to the campground. So a lot of these places, they won't allow certain lengths. I hear 36 is a big number, and I've even heard there's some parks that only allow 20-foot trailers or for certain spaces. So if you want to go to a lot of national parks, I think that would be something you need to think about, so that way when you go to purchase your trailer, that you stay under a certain length. So that's important too. Or if you're looking used, you got to remember, a lot of these campgrounds don't allow trailers that are older than 10 years. How crazy is that? That's so rude. I think that is so mean, because I've had customers that have bought like a 2001 motorhome from me, and they made that thing beautiful. Like, redid the whole inside of that motorhome, and it looked better than new ones. Like, it was real modern, looked great. And they called me, or no, they texted me, and they're like, we did not know that they won't allow that motorhome in there because of the age of it. So that was pretty unfortunate that happened. It was when I first started selling, it was a long time ago, and I didn't know that campgrounds did that. So I felt super bad, but they got around it and had a successful trip. But their motorhome looked so cool. So that is tip number 5. Basically what I'm saying you should do is really sit down and write down the things that you're wanting to do with your RV or travel trailer. So really think about all those things, and you can kind of pick out the options and features that you kind of want on your trailer. It's going to be very important, and it could save you a lot of money, because you're not going to be getting options and features that you don't really need or going to use. So yeah, I hope you guys appreciated this little video, or you enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do more of these. I'm kind of just testing the waters and seeing how it goes. I have tons of things that I want to go into, like the solar, the tank heaters, R value on trailers and things like that. But it's a little more personal. Like, being in front of a camera like this is different for me. So this is my first time kind of seeing how I do, or if I like it. And tomorrow we'll get into another tour on a travel trailer. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. I do a new tour every single day, and maybe a video like this once in a while. That'd be cool. So I hope you guys had a great Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.